This is the Troutbitten Podcast.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Troutbitten.
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 Yeah, Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
It's about trout.
Wild trout. This is Troutbitten.
This is the Troutbitten Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Dominic Swantowski. I'm the owner of Troutbitten and the author of Troutbitten.com. All right, friends, I'm looking forward to this one. It's our penultimate episode of our 13th season of this podcast, and we're here, honestly, to kind of celebrate 10 years of Troutbitten. That's right. December 8th, just a couple days ago, was the 10th anniversary of the first article I ever published on Troutbitten. All of those years ago, I never expected this Troutbitten business, this media company, to become what it is. Honestly, I had no intentions other than to write and publish stories about fishing, simply because I love the process of writing and I love fishing. I also enjoy being creative, which I've acknowledged so many times. All of the things that Troutbitten has become, well, they've really been avenues to be creative. So we've touched on the history of Troutbitten in a few conversations in these now 3.5 years of podcasting. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of those early days tonight, about the history of Troutbitten. And our friend Sloop John B is here with us again. And Sloop is a key reason. There he is. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey now.
Sloop's a key reason why all of this Troutbitten stuff exists. Honestly, all of the Troutbitten guys, the ones here with me tonight, and everyone that has been part of this project along the way has contributed to this success. And it is success. That's what this has all become. So tonight, we're here to talk about some history, but also some upcoming plans. Where has Troutbitten been, and where are we going? We'll reflect on the past, take a look at where...
OnlyFans.
That's right. Deli wants to have a Troutbitten OnlyFans account.
No.
And he's going to head it up.
Austin, they're removing some clothing.
Well, Austin did just change his shirt, but that's beside the point. So we'll reflect on the past. We'll take a look at where we are in the present, and we'll talk about some ideas and plans that we have kind of on the horizon. So this whole project has defined my life and career in many ways for the last decade. And I know that each of the guys here has their own connection in their own way. So let's load it up and jump into things with introductions. Matt Grobe coming out from Montana. He says he's tired tonight, just got home from work. Let's start with Matt Grobe. Living out in Bozeman, Matt came into the old Troutbitten forum early on, invited by Pat Burke. And he fit in right away as an interesting dude who fished really hard, chased big trout, dug into the details, and liked to bust balls along the way. Also a Pittsburgh fan. What's up, Matt?
I'm certainly not a Flyers fan.
No. That's why he was in right away, all those things.
So I got Sloop on tonight.
I know.
Oh, man.
He's just, how far down the road is Sloop again? Like 10 miles or something?
Oh, he can run over to my house.
You see
less
back
than
there?
10 miles.
Back
Hey,
there, the distance
yeah,
back
yeah.
there, there's
Right over the shoulder.
Grobe's home.
Wow.
Right over the shoulder. Has it been 10 years, man? Doesn't
Right?
feel like that, right?
It's been longer than 10 years.
well,
actually,
for us, it's been longer, right?
since we started, right? And so I put the 10-year marker to clear that up on the very first article that I hit publish on. And that is like, let's say, Troutbitten gone public. You know, not like the stock market. But
I'd buy. Right,
Going
Sloop?
public.
Oh, yeah.
Sloop would recommend it.
I'll swap some company stock.
there he is. There's Sloop John B. John Burgess. So now living in Montana as well, right near Grove. I guess within running distance. You didn't say walking distance. You said you could run down the road.
It's a little bit farther.
He moved on me.
Well, it's cold outside too.
Sloop's in good shape, though. He could be like 30 miles away.
Yeah, my old man, Bad Hammy, doesn't get me to run anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll put it this way. If we
Yeah.
miscommunicate on where the pickup location is on our fishing trips,
Mhm.
I can still be in his driveway in 2 minutes,
Oh,
regardless.
that's right. I guess I did miscommunicate.
Sloop
Oh.
fucked up.
That was a subtle call
I
out.
didn't really up. There was never a suggestion to come over, but I should have offered.
Wow.
Just
He
to make
needs
it
me to
faster.
pick him up, and that's where we're at in our Troutbitten relationship.
I think
Well,
there's
we
going
were
to be a lot of
supposed-
inside between these two guys
until
tonight.
until you started complaining about your
Get him
you know,
back.
you-
What, my ribs?
Come on,
Yeah.
Sloop. Get him back. That's
Hey.
right. Fire
were
back,
supposed to-
Sloop.
we were supposed to go brewing down.
Sloop took me to the ER. I owe him.
We never made it for the beers. afterwards.
We didn't. I bailed
couldn't
out.
keep
'cause
up.
No, you had to take me to the.
Matt couldn't keep up with you.
I
huh,
couldn't. Sloop had to take me to the ER, and I had to pass on beers.
Sloop? With his little
The
ribs.
ultimate non-trout bitten way to fish is end up in the
You
ER.
Westerners are soft.
No, that was sad.
Hey, it was ugly. It was ugly in the afternoon.
You saved his life that day, didn't you?
Yeah,
Slooper.
something happened.
He pulled him from the river.
Yeah, dragged him out of the river. and
He
took
hit
him to
every
the ER.
pothole on the way home on purpose.
It seemed that way.
That's great. What we're talking about is you two were out for a fishing trip, right? And all of a sudden, Grope couldn't fish because he thought he broke his ribs from from fighting a big fish, right? That's the nicer story.
That's the story. Yeah, let's just say I caught such a big fish. I had a Charlie horse in my ribs.
That's rough.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he lets me drive his vehicle, I know he's in pain.
He has one of those special colors on the Forerunner, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Like Lunar Rock. Is that what it is?
Lunar Rock.
Baby.
Yeah, good. It's a good one, isn't it?
It is a good one. They make some cool colors. So Sloop kind of tied a bunch of us together in the beginning. We've kind of gone through all that before, so we won't belabor the point. But really, Sloop's been one of the best fishing buddies anybody could have. And welcome back, Sloop. Nice to have you here on the podcast.
Hey, well, I'm really super happy to been invited back for this.
Well, it only makes sense, we're going to talk about the history and where things are going. And you're a deep part of the history of Troutbitten.
Yeah, and it's an exciting 2025 for lots of us. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to hearing all the stories, sharing some of my own
I know.
when it happens.
We could probably run this one into 3 hours, especially if Austin's involved. He's got lots of stories, right? Austin Dando, here we go. We call him Young Love for his youthful optimism. That's the way I decided to put it. You're still like that, bud. Even though you hit 30.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, close. When's your 30th birthday?
February 14th.
Uh-huh.
Valentine's Day.
Got it.
Wow.
It's part of why I'm so loving.
So
I was
loving.
going to say,
Young
we got
Love.
our own Cupid.
It's disgusting. So Austin guides for Troutbitten. He helps keep an eye out for errors that I make across the web. Kind of an editor in a way. And he's Troutbitten's event coordinator. We used to joke around about that, but now it's kind of a serious thing, isn't it, bud?
Yeah, now it can, have a little more purpose behind it.
I know,
Stuff
right?
to do.
Yeah.
Things to think about.
Austin, you're the reason we brewed a Troutbitten beer with New Trail. You took the reins on that. We've acknowledged that before, but seriously, that's one of the things that Troutbitten has become is we're collaborating on beers.
That was fun. Hopefully we'll do that again.
Yeah, you can tell New Trail when I come into town next week, I'll be looking for some of their special brews.
They got a lot of special brews.
Just get the double. The
Double broken heels.
Double broken heels. That's all you
So you
need.
can
Sloop
go to
don't need
sleep
a
early.
double. Come on, Deli.
Oh, yeah. Get them.
You
I'll
gotta
get
watch,
them.
what I tell you guys, Sloop, I told him I got to look out for you when you're back.
I'm going to invoke the
nice of you, Matt.
PAP rule.
Just come over to camp. I'll hand you a beer.
We might refer to PAP a couple times tonight. So somebody want to just define what PAP is?
Come on,
What's
Sloop.
that stand for?
Me?
Yeah, it's better when you say it.
People are less than brave.
Matt, you got it?
People are.
That's what it stands for.
Yep.
And that goes back probably 12 or 13 years, clear to the early forum days, where we kind of realized not everybody really wants to get after it as much.
Right.
That doesn't make us right or wrong or better than anybody else or worse than anybody else. It doesn't. It's just we realized that we had found a group of friends who really liked to fish hard. And that's where the fish hard mantra came in. We're like, we're going out like the whole day, not part of the day. Everything's in like flood stage. Screw it. We're going out anyway. And I don't know. That's where this group of guys came together. And other people that we would occasionally bring in didn't really fit in.
We won't say any names, though.
Nope. So anyway, back to Austin because I don't want to shortchange him. Austin also, has coordinated the tying events and the get-togethers that we've had through the years. We're gonna do more of those, right, buddy?
That's playing.
You on the stick? You got things planned in the works?
I'm on the stick.
Thank you for being on the stick.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else that means. Austin, Austin, right around this time last year was setting up our Patagonia trip, and
Yeah. Wow, you're right.
that was super cool.
Some of those
And-
details coming into view.
I know. And so there's a lot more on the horizon, and we'll get to all that. So thanks, Austin, for being part of the Troutbitten project.
Thank you.
I got one more that's with us tonight. We got Bill Dell, who also guides for Troutbitten. And Bill kind of keeps all of us on track. I was thinking of it. I'd put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Bill keeps the ideas fresh because he's always questioning the status quo. The status quo means nothing to Bill. Bill goes, I don't care how anybody else fishes. How do I want to do it? So Dell fishes his ass off. He's a gear junkie and a great friend. What's up, buddy?
Not much. I had a guy email me, Alex, who was asking me questions
Argos?
about. Yes.
Yeah, right on. I love him.
Yeah, great. I love the conversations
Just
I have
talking with him. I know, right?
So he sends me an email and kind of along the same lines as what you said. And he was like, well, what do you think about this? And asked me a couple questions. And I was like, I don't really pay attention to anyone else, for better or worse.
I know.
You know, whether it's people in the industry, I don't know. I guess I just kind of tinker with things on my own time, and I'll accept the ideas and try them. But for the most part, I just like to experiment on my own.
I love that. That's why I pointed it out. I do think that's your strong suit among many. That's one of your strong suits.
And I have a large pack and vest collection.
I didn't know where we were going with that. You certainly do. Can I just, this will embarrass him, but can I just say, one of Becky, my wife's name's Becky, one of Becky's friends, and now has become a family friend. They have 4 kids, and Deli said he was going to generously donate one of his rod, reel, and then he's even thrown in a pack for a very nominal cost. I texted our group, right? And I said, hey, what's, this kid, he's 12, 14 years old. He's looking for a setup. And we all know that can be a little daunting, right? And I get this all the time. Mothers, fathers saying like, hey, my kid wants to get into fly fishing. I'm like, man, yeah, this is going to take more than $50. This is going to take more than $100, you know? So anyway, Deli, he's got a lot of gear, and Deli generously, everything this kid's going to need to get set up. So thanks, Del.
Welcome. Hopefully,
That's great.
Hopefully he gets hooked on it. And,
He will.
Yeah.
He listens to this podcast too. So I said to Becky last night, I said, this kid's going to be really excited to know he's fishing with Deli's stuff. I think it's pretty neat.
I'll put some good fish mojo on it.
There you go. So anyway, that really is. That's a neat thing too. Both of my boys' friends, they're 14 and 16 years old now, right? They listen to this podcast and they learn stuff from it. And then you got, people sloops age. Whoa. Did I say that?
Oh, hey now.
People
Come on.
sloops age listening to it. Come on, Sloop. I was just messing around. Don't walk away.
By the time Austin turns 30, I'll be on Medicare.
There it is. There it is.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I'll tell you what, though, seriously. Of course, we have the Troutbitten YouTube channel, and YouTube probably does the best job. Well, they have the most analytics about their audience. Right, and this kind of goes into our topic. I'll look at the audience, and it is very evenly split between like the 17 to 24 age group, or wherever they determine that. And then the next age group is like up to 30. It's like 25 to 32 or something like that. It's very evenly split between, I think, the 5 age groups that they have. I think we should all take some pride in that too. I mean, to be reaching an audience that's so widely diverse just in age range, I think is, pretty unique. Most companies would like to do that,
Does that mean we're hip and timeless?
Well, you might not be the one that makes us hip there, Walmart Bates.
I didn't say I was hip. I said we were.
Neither are you, water shoes.
Austin's giving me shit about my Keen sandals. He calls them water shoes.
They are water shoes. You wear them like they're regular day shoes. You look weird.
Every day.
Those are not man shoes.
We can have a podcast on footwear if you like someday. I want to acknowledge that our buddy Dr. Trevor Smith isn't here yet. He might be here later on, but seriously, he texted us about an hour and a half ago, and he said he's kind of stuck at clinic, where he's doing all the doctor duties, and he said a lot of people have the flu and they need somebody to hold their hand. Basically, is that fair? Is that a fair characterization?
Sounded like it.
That's pretty much what he said. If he shows up, we will definitely introduce him. And then Josh Darling. I've always had trouble saying Josh Darling without slurring them together. We just call him Jarling. Anyway, he owns Wilds Media. And I'm going to say this, like Josh's vision combined with his knowledge and skill, and I say like an artistic sense, has given Troutbitten kind of this characteristic look. Josh and I just filmed something on Friday, and he's putting it together, putting the finishing touches on it right now. He's dedicated, but I sincerely believe Josh films the best fishing content in our industry. And I guess I've gotten so bold as to just say that. It's my favorite anyway, because he somehow, and this is important, he captures kind of that intangible quality of being on a river that we all love so much. It's not just about the fish.
I think he makes you feel like you're on the river. Like he captures the intimate details that make you feel like you're on the river.
That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. And you're right. It's those intimate details. So I admire a lot what Jarling does for us. I appreciate it too. That's everybody. So I say sincerely thanks to all of you guys for being here and for being here for a decade. It's been pretty cool.
All decade team.
Some of us go back more than a decade. Young love.
Some of you are legacy.
Some of us are legacy Troutbitten. For me, excellent polarized lenses are a critical piece of gear every day that I'm on the water. Tajima Direct has changed what I see in the river. Tajima Direct offers top-tier lens replacement services with the best polarized lens technology on the market. They offer both prescription and non-prescription lenses, so you can upgrade the lenses in your favorite frames with purpose-built lens tints that are specifically developed for fly fishing. Tajima's patented technology cuts glare and enhances clarity like no other lens that I've worn. I especially love their low-light specific yellow-green 40 polarized lens, which is perfect for early mornings, late evenings, and the cloudy days that we all enjoy so much. Tajima Direct offers excellent service and the best lenses on the market, along with much better pricing than your local eye doctor can offer. Clear vision and more detail with less strain so you can see more fish. That's what Tajima Direct delivers. Visit tajima-direct.com. That's TAJIMA-direct.com. Upgrade your lenses and see what you've been missing. Tactical Fly Fisher was founded by Fly Fishing Team USA angler Devin Olson to bring anglers cutting-edge gear and techniques inspired by the World Fly Fishing Championships. Tactical Fly Fisher's goal is to supply you with the latest and best fly fishing gear and to help you learn how to use it through their videos and books. Whether you need flies, fly tying supplies, a new rod or reel, or any other fly fishing equipment, they've got you covered. Check them out at tacticalflyfisher.com and use the code TB15 to get 15% off one order, excluding rods, reels, waders, and boots. Visit tacticalflyfisher.com. Uh-oh! Hey now!
Dr. Big Words.
Dr. Big
Dr. Big Words just showed up.
Just came.
Hey now! I was
stay
just
away.
thanking everybody. We were about to move into the question. But there you are. I was just bragging you up. I bragged up Jarling a little bit. But here's Dr. Big Words. So how you doing? You all right?
I'm good. Yeah. You know, just taking care of the masses.
Tell everybody your screen name.
Late.
Well, I interrupted you. What were you doing there?
I'm on call tonight, so I was just answering calls. It's the time of year that everybody's sick. Apparently, not everybody's mom told them how to take care of a cold. So now I'm everybody's mom. So
Thank goodness for you.
yeah,
Just a cold.
get
Just
to
a
talk
cold
them
little
through.
flu.
Yeah,
Gives you
make a
something
cup
to
of
do.
tea. Yeah, exactly. Sicknesses have been happening since the dawn of humanity. You know, that kind of stuff. It's
Well,
good.
thanks for showing up, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to tell everybody.
No.
You're our resident smart guy. Dr. Big Words.
Something
Deli
like
gave
that.
you the nickname a couple weeks ago.
I think I think Trevor has the most nicknames of any of us.
He might.
That-
Dr.
that we-
Wool.
Dr. Wool.
Yeah.
Platinum Cowboy.
Platinum
That's a
Cowboy.
good one.
That's because of his
Up in
truck.
a while.
He has the platinum version of the F-150. Is that
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Says it right on the back. You can't
Does.
miss
It does. It does.
Wow.
It says platinum.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
Dr. Big Words.
We had a back porch beer that we took in the house because it was a little too cold just a
That's
few days
true.
ago.
This is true.
Joey came with me. That was
PAP
cool.
right there.
Hey now, come on now. It was cold out there. We've done it before. We put coats
We
on
have.
and layers before.
Yeah, and there was football to watch.
Snowsuits. There was football. That's why we went
That's,
inside.
that's,
to the
that's
football.
what you go in with.
That's
Not that
right.
It's
Come on,
cold.
Matt. It's a hard time.
Yeah.
I always say, like, Dr. Big Words here lends legitimacy to the technical discussions that we have.
That's right.
It was that we sometimes have.
We,
And because you know you're good at researching these published studies, like the actual facts.
Well, it's
You're
what
good at that.
what I lack in experience. I try to make up for in reading. You know,
Well, you've been fishing since you were tiny.
This
well,
is
all
true.
of us have, but
yeah, we all have.
you don't lack any experience. Anyway, I always say that you generally just think harder than most of us.
I make it
He
look
thinks
hard
hard.
at least. Yeah.
Becky and I used to say we had a class with Dr. Vella
Hmm.
at IUP in the English department, and it was Intro to Literary Theory, and we called it Intro to Thinking Hard, because that's pretty much what it was.
I like that.
It just thinking a little deeper than maybe you ever had. So Trevor is an Air Force veteran, and he's a steadying force for this Troutbitten project. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Heck yeah.
Somebody
Glad to
might
be
call
here.
you away though if you're on call, huh?
It could happen. Could happen.
It could
You
happen.
never know.
I will
funny.
acknowledge River, our dog. It just came back in, and he's in the office here. In a way, you know, River's part of the Troutbitten project too. He's in there chewing his bone. He brought his bone in.
My buddy said, "Man, that dog really makes his videos."
I think so. Whatever. I like dogs, right? I
Yeah.
especially like my own dog. No, he's cool. And he's just around all the time. I have never had a dog. I've never been around a dog that is so attached to one person. And luckily, he's attached to me. All the way back, 10 years ago, my border collie, Bob Dylan, was in the mix, and I used to fish with him a lot. I wouldn't have River, this Australian Shepherd, if it wasn't for Bob Dylan, the border collie. And in many ways, I mean it, in many ways, if it wasn't for my border collie, well, we wouldn't be here talking to each other, that's for sure.
Hmm.
That
Interesting.
dog kind of came around at the right time in my life, and I kind of straightened things up and said, hey, I'm going to be responsible for somebody, something. And he kind of got me to take life more seriously, I suppose. A good dog can really influence your life. You guys want to do a question here?
Let's do it.
All right, so I picked this one. I did this a couple of weeks ago, and I'll do it again here by combining or summarizing a question that I get at least a few times each month. So anglers or people get in touch with me to ask how to start or grow their own fly fishing business. And maybe they're trying to sell flies. Maybe they're starting a guide service. Maybe they're building fly rods. Maybe they have a website and write articles, or they do videos. And inevitably, they ask me kind of how to grow their business. And they usually want to grow quickly and make money, right? It's true. So I'm humbled by the question because, yes, Troutbitten does well. And this is my career. And the guys here profit from the Troutbitten project as well. And yes, Troutbitten has had a lot of success. We acknowledged that earlier. We're proud of it. And we're excited about the future, where it was and now where it's going. But I guess I bring up this question because I think we can all pitch in a bit of advice about how to start things out. And my own answer to this is almost always the same. I say, don't worry about the money. Don't even think about it for maybe 5 years. This is what I tell people. 5 years. Don't even think about the money. Just fish a lot, create good things, and then do good work. Basically, my message is to build a reputation. And eventually that, and I mean it, that reputation is what will make you some money. So fly fishing is a very small industry, and we all know this. Everybody here knows this. Maybe if you're kind of outside of the industry a bit, you think it's bigger than it is, but it is small. So you can stand out with good work and a good reputation, but you can easily go the other way by making enemies, doing poor work, or let's say being inconsistent or being hard to work with, maybe. So that's my answer, right? Like fish hard, keep your head down, do good work, and gain a reputation that builds over time, and don't try to rush it. Really, don't try to rush it. But maybe my advice here is off base for someone who wants to just start into guiding right away, or I don't know, do other things. Maybe not. I don't know the value of my advice, but I say that to people all the time if they get in touch with me. Guys, what's your take on this question? Because we get it a lot.
This one's hard because I feel like there's a lot of layers to this.
Yeah.
I know when you asked me to start guiding, I felt
Yeah.
like at that point I had been fishing for, I think 10 to 12 years, about 100 days a year on the water.
I know, right?
And I felt inadequate
Hmm.
because I felt like, hey, maybe I don't know the rivers as well as I think I should, or,
Yeah.
but that was kind of my philosophy. I think it depends on what kind of guide you want to be.
Yeah.
If you want to be what we talk about as like the tour guide, as far as showing, people the area, I don't think you
easier.
need to have the expertise of a river.
Right on.
The other thing is the time. I don't think anyone realizes the amount of time and effort that you put into Troutbitten, and how
Yeah.
people think of like 40, 50-hour work days or work weeks. And
Yeah.
I don't think people, like, I don't know, what's your average hours that you work on Troutbitten a week? It's probably insane compared
Yeah.
to like if you had a 9-to-5
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. But I love it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess like you have to love it, and then have the willingness to put in 60 or 70 hours in a week to try to make it successful. And I think that's why you're successful, is the passion and the dedication you have to all of that.
Thanks, Deli. But I'll also, I'm going to keep saying it tonight. Like, it's because of you guys too. It's obviously not just me, and you guys have the dedication. You're here right now. You guys could say, hey, I can't make it tonight. And there'd be great reasons, there've always been good reasons why you can't make it. But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, we all make time not just to do this stuff, but to fish with each other as well. This whole Troutbitten business has tied us all together in a way that perhaps my former fishing groups weren't tied together, right? I think from a selfish perspective, I think this Troutbitten business has kept my fishing friends together.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking about me. And it's really neat to know that I got these 5, 6, 7 guys that I could fish with. Like, hey, can you fish tomorrow? Oh yeah, I'll go. Let's go.
Mhm.
And throughout,
That's as much notice as he'll give you, by the way.
that's right. That's all you get. Like a day before, because I'm kind of busy.
10-hour notice.
10 hours. 10 hours.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
No, but really, I had fishing friends before Pat Burke, who was the first Troutbitten fishing buddy. But I don't know, hardly anybody ever lasted. My buddy Jeff Hurt was around, but now he's out. He's down in North Carolina. My point is, it's hard to find good fishing friends. But here I got 5, 6, or 7 of them. Tomorrow, you want to go fishing? Let's go. This ties us all together.
Yeah, it does.
I got off topic there. You were going to say something, Trevor?
I like what you said about, being patient, certainly, and creating a reputation. And I think you probably know, not all of us are small business owners. So I think very few of us have the insight that you do to this, because this is something you think about day in and day out. And, this has been years building, right?
Yeah.
But I do think, and I've asked you this a few times, especially I asked you early on when we started fishing together, there is something unique about the way you've built this from the ground up. And I think that it wouldn't be what it is without some of the really solid content, and even, just your skill as a writer. And I think that your skill as a writer and your ability to put a lot of the thoughts about fishing into articles, just the consistency of building this archive of articles over the year. Anybody can do something for a few weeks, can get excited on Instagram, get a few likes. But the fact that you've just done it over such a long period of time, and now it's almost at a point where I feel like everything we do almost can build off of the content that we've created, and that really you've spent so much time creating, that we certainly have a hand and a role in it. But we also have the luxury of getting to enjoy it kind of purely for what it is and what it, the benefits of it, without necessarily having to put in the hard work behind it all the time.
Sure.
And if that content and the quality of it wasn't there, I don't think any of this would stand up the test of time. But it is.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. This is kind of piggybacking on
Your sloop.
just wanted to add this to what Trevor said. In a nutshell, you kind of have to try to establish a differentiator. You're a small fish in a smaller pond,
Right.
and you have to figure out how to be different. You basically, if you want to stand out, you got to be different. And I mean, it's how are you going to do that? I think you've done it really well, especially in your writing. Your writing is interesting, fun to read, not just right down to the nitty gritty. But then if you want to get that way, you click on that link and all of a sudden you're figuring out a formula for leaders.
Yeah.
I'll jump in on that. I'm fortunate, I hire a lot of younger aspiring professionals in my line of work, right? Whether that's ziplining guide or fly fishing guides or hunting guides, right? And I, have career talks with them on a regular basis. And I point to Troutbitten often when it comes to the fishing guides. Oh yeah, because here's why. I feel strongly that you need to be diverse. Very few individuals will just be a fishing guide on the water teaching people how to fish and make it 30 years in the industry.
Right.
You have to you look at what you've grown as a Troutbitten business, whether it's the YouTube channel, this podcast. Oh yeah, you guide, but that's such a small chunk
It's become
of what
small.
you actually do. And
Right.
if you look around the industry, right, about, the people that are known, right? That's a route, the diversity. It's not just one of those things. You're good at writing, podcasts, teaching, so you have a lot going for you, but you worked real hard and you grew that over the course of 15 years when you were writing back in the
Right.
forum days,
Oh,
right?
yeah, right.
And so
Right.
I would say take it slow. And I like what you said. You got to be really good at that one thing you get into, because you're not getting into all that at once, right? It's kind of
Right.
evolved, but the work ethic you haven't lost, right? Through all those aspects. And so that piece of it is valuable beyond what anyone can imagine, right? Is that work ethic, and then do it with everything you do. And often if you're trying to make a career in fly fishing, you got to find one or two or three other avenues to be great at.
That's good advice.
If you think about the high level, as far as like what you've been successful with, it's writing, and you're writing about something that you're passionate about. And so your writing skill shows up very well. And then the podcasting stuff has been successful, and you had a career in music. And so you understand
I know.
you really in-depthly know the importance of quality audio. And so I've had multiple friends text me and say, hey, I really appreciate the audio quality of Troutbitten.
I know.
Some
It
of
had
these
to be good, or we weren't going to do it. Yeah.
some of these podcasts that I listen to, I can barely understand what people are talking about.
Yeah.
And so I will say, the audio quality has been great, but sometimes we're like, dude, like none of us know anything about music. And so I'm like, I thought when we were going to do the podcast, I was like, yeah, I got an audio. I got like a headset, I got my
I got a mic.
I got a Walmart Beats. I'm good to go. And you were like,
I got that little mic that's on the wire that comes from my headphones. It'll be all right.
yeah. And I had no knowledge of any of that. And,
Wow.
but like, I think you had the foresight to say, and you always do, as far as if we're going to do it, it needs to be done right, and it needs to be done quality. And I think that's where you stand out to me.
I wasn't really fishing for compliments. But
I know.
It's the
I got a couple, and I
Well,
appreciate that. Thanks,
Well, I mean,
guys.
you can turn that right back, and everything we just said, all the compliments you gave, and think about the attention to details that you're going to need to really distinguish yourself. I used the word differentiator before. It all, you're in a really competitive field. I mean, how are you going to stand out? You got, in your case, we just talked about it. You have content, you have quality products, you have a quality media guy, everything, you focused on making sure your stuff is clear. So anybody coming into this has to consider, what their end product is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you have to keep it high, keep it high quality.
Whether it's after a fishing trip or at a backyard fire, you can bet the Troutbitten crew has a case of New Trail Broken Heels along with us. It's honestly our favorite beer. This hazy IPA is smooth and full-bodied. Hand-selected Citra hops lead to notes of bright clementine and juicy ruby red grapefruit. Broken Heels is a keeper. New Trail beer is proudly brewed in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and delivered cold to your favorite craft beer retailer every week. At New Trail, it's not about being the best angler. It's about getting out there. So enjoy nature's moments and reward yourself for a day well fished with New Trail Broken Heels. It's Troutbitten's favorite beer. The landscape is changing for trout anglers. No doubt you've already noticed another truck at your favorite access point and seen more anglers on the water. For those looking for new challenges and fishing opportunities, Trout Routes has the data to help you avoid the crowds and explore new public water. Trout Routes has mapped more than 50,000 trout streams across the country with curated, detailed maps of public land and access points. Trout Routes has developed integrated and interactive data, putting the tools in your hands to research new water and help you navigate in the wild to know exactly where you stand in the current. It's still up to you to find those deep pools and undercuts, but Trout Routes helps you get on the water, connecting you with resources like fly shops and stream gauges for trout water across the country. Download Trout Routes in the App Store today. Then use the code Troutbitten for 20% off your membership at maps.troutroutes.com.
Another thing I've really loved about the brand and just about Troutbitten and honestly something that I feel like has given a lot of, pride, I think, to being a part of it is that you and we as a group, I think, have resisted the quick dollar, or resisted kind of the quick sellout and there were a lot of opportunities for that, I think, early on where, a quick book deal or, there's just a lot of ways that you could have signed your content over to a bigger creator and lost the ownership over it. And instead, even to your own detriment at times, you've chosen to play the long game. And Troutbitten is not a story of hitting it big at the right time. And it was just sort of a happenstance thing. It's a story of grit, and it's a story of building something over a really long period of time. And the reason it succeeded is because it was built right.
Yeah. Even just like the temptation again of those early dollars to jump on a bandwagon endorsement. I know Dom has companies reach out all the time and say, "Hey, I'm going to send you this thing." And Dom's response is always, "You can send it to me, but I'm probably not going to review it or talk about it."
Yeah.
And if you're maybe a little less mature in that space, you could say, "Oh yeah, free gear. I'll write something up. What's it to me?"
Yeah.
But Dom is always stuck again to those guns of, if I don't believe in it, if it's not something that improves my fishing and has an actual impact, on my life, then it's not something I'm gonna endorse or talk about or try to sell someone on because it's not authentic.
Totally.
That's not easy to do.
Well, I suppose not, but we're all like that. So being surrounded by all of you guys helps hold me accountable, right? You guys would get on me if I was like, I've been using this for 3 weeks. It's really great. You go, come on, Dom, shut up.
That's crap.
Layers look good in the box. You should buy it.
For me, like a 1 year marker is pretty good for me. I need to use something for about a year before I'll start really kind of talking about it and saying, hey, this really fits in for me, and not just me, but for the other guys too.
Yeah.
And if we're still answering these questions that I get in, Hunter was the latest guy, I forget his last name. He's a fly tyer, and he wants to make a lot of money really quickly. I'm like, well, what's the best way to make $1 million in the fly fishing business?
Get out of it.
Yes.
Buy lottery tickets.
No, people tell you the best way to make $1 million is to spend $2 million. Right?
Yeah, man.
Sounds about right.
It's a small industry. And all of these are going to become small businesses. Don't assume that you can make a career in fly fishing. That's all. You can't force it. I think it does come back to reputation, and all of that comes from building organically. Like you said, Austin, we were never in a rush at all.
Yeah.
To even place ads. So we started in 2014. It was 2017, late 2017, I think, before we ever even ran one ad, which was not a high-paying ad, but from a local fly shop. and they said, "Hey, you want to run ads?" And I said, "Oh, wow. Okay." And then not too far down the line, Orvis, Tom Rosenbauer got in touch and said, "Hey, like what you're doing, would Troutbitten be interested in running ads from Orvis?" And I was like, "Well, I like a lot of Orvis stuff. I am wearing and using Orvis stuff every day. This is a perfect match." And I loved Tom Rosenbauer and had 3 of his books on my shelf, and one of them that I've given away as like just a fantastic resource. So it was an easy yes for me. That day that Tom got in touch with me was perhaps the most pivotal day in all of Troutbitten, aside from, the day I met Pat, and from the day that Matt came on board, and the day that Sloop was on our forum. I mean, I'm not shortchanging that by any means, because all of that stuff is the base of everything. That history, that forum, that OG forum, the legacy forum is it. That's from the very beginning.
I like to claim that I was the first one to get you to present.
Absolutely.
I remember your reservation against doing it.
Yeah.
For a rock star, I couldn't understand that.
Nah, it was it wasn't then, am not now. There are no rock stars or professionals in the fishing industry. They're just people, man, right? There's people that fish a lot and have other good friends who fish a lot.
But
I disagree with that, Tom. You told me I was a professional musician because I got paid to play music. You got paid to speak. You're a professional presentator.
Well, that's like the clinical definition of the term, right, Trevor?
Take that back.
That's it.
Yeah.
I know this is turning into a little love fest, but I'll tell you what, Dom, when you came down to Dame Juliana that night, I mean, I just knew you were on to something. But I'll tell you that, I've watched a lot of presentations at all these clubs that I used to go to.
Yeah.
And your material, maybe it was because of time, but I really think it's because your presentation and your depth of knowledge, generated more questions than I'd ever seen at these presentations. People were really excited to be able to hit some topics with you.
I love it.
And I knew you were onto something then, for sure.
Well, Sloop is the original Troutbitten guy. You're the one who named it, basically. Right? We've been through that before, but
Have you collected on that yet, Sloop?
he should, right? But now I have
trying.
I got the trademark, so
My people will be.
I slid in there under Sloop and got the trademark. No, really, Sloop was the original. Tied us all together. His group of friends then became our group of friends, and it started with the forum. Again, we've kind of been through this. I'll drop some links to like discussions we've had that we're not trying to necessarily revisit here, but all the history.
Well, but the forum, for me, that's the core of this thing for me, like in my piece of it, right? Like it's, to find anglers that you can have heavy conversation with, is what appealed to me at the beginning, and it appeals.
You're like, hey, these guys are pretty
and look,
cool.
man, it's hard to fake when you know what you're talking about, right? It's easy when you know what, I'd like to think when I came on board, I was a pretty decent angler, right? And right away you can discover that the forum and the content there was no joke, right? And so, I'm the type of personality that likes to be challenged and to change, and that part was always what attracted me back to those forum, during the forum days at 4:00 at night, at 11:00 at night, because you wanted to see what the response was, and all this other past, future content, right? It's just arms out of that for me. When I see it, it's cool. It's when because I may not be a part of the YouTube series, so to say, from a filming standpoint, but deep down I'm like, I remember talking about that. And that part's
dude,
cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
So
but
you are
in that regard, like I can see this thing grow, and it's like, well, wait, I get it. I get why the listeners are attracted to it, just like I was at the beginning, because it's in depth. We know what we're talking about.
That's fair. Yeah.
and it's, detailed. It gets into the nitty-gritty. And you can really learn how to become a better angler. And that's the core of what Troutbitten's all about for me.
Could I dovetail on that? Austin, when you and I were in Patagonia, there was a gentleman who was like, well, the industry is this way and they expect this and that. And we were sitting around the table at dinner, and I said, no, that's not it. And that's not my business.
I remember that.
That's not how this business is. That's not what the Troutbitten business is. And I kind of got almost aggressive about it because I've been like that from the beginning. I'm like, no, this way that so much of the industry caters to the beginners and to the first timers and to the casual anglers. I was like, no, that's not what we do. That's not Troutbitten. It's never going to be Troutbitten. And like to Matt's point, all of this started with the forum. And then as soon as I started writing articles, I realized, oh, hell, there's a lot of people who want to read this kind of stuff and want to contribute to this kind of stuff. And there's just such a deeper level out there. It's probably that way in every industry, like mountain biking. I bet there's a bunch of people who just really want to get into the details. So many industries are probably the same way. And yet here we are doing this thing that is just deeper than beginner level. If you're a beginner and you're out there listening, fantastic. Glad to have you on. And we are all saying that there's a lot more. Keep listening because we're going to dig deeper, perhaps, than most other resources do. And that's where it started. Like you said, Matt, from the beginning, we were like, whoa, hey, we really care about the details. And we might be wrong with our theories, but we're going to develop some theories. We're going to share. We're going to share some theories. We're going to talk about them, maybe in some ways that other people would look at and go, what the hell are you even talking about? But we have some ideas. We just wanted to go further. And Matt said something like that too. We wanted to challenge each other. And so when I started publishing articles, I was not going to cater to that beginner necessarily. When we started doing podcasts here, we have said all along, everyone's welcome. Beginners, absolutely welcome. But don't expect that we're going to give you the 101 of fly casting. Not really. We're going to talk about some stuff that perhaps you can't find anywhere else, because what I realized early on, there's a deeper level than a lot of people realize, and there is a market for it. And we've proven that. There is a good market for people who want to go further.
Yeah.
I think they say it's 10,000 hours to master something.
Yeah.
And so when you have a collective amount of people contributing ideas to each other, you're basically advancing at a higher rate.
That's good. Yeah.
Because you have 10,000 hours from like 4 or 5, 6, 7 people that are collectively bouncing ideas and challenge. And, you kind of have to leave your ego at the door to say, hey, I catch X number of fish a day, so I have to be doing it right. When someone like Grove says, well, have you tried this? Or, I do better like this. And then you tweak your strategy and you say, okay, well now, I see. Well, I can take what he's doing, he can be completely across the country and he can be working a tactic. Yeah. And so then that tactic can apply in rivers in this area. And so the exchange of that information and the growth, like individually as anglers, is accelerated.
Love it.
So we've talked a lot about like what Troutbitten has been and is, but I am curious, and I do want to kind of hear some thoughts from you, Dom, about where Troutbitten's heading.
Tattoos for everybody.
Yeah.
My tattoos. I got my
Troutbitten tattoos.
Sloop John B tattoo.
Trout stamps.
Face tattoos.
Have you seen Philip's tattoo with all the way across his forearm?
That's true. He already has it.
No.
Oh, I should send you that.
Yeah, he's branded.
Does he have the first Troutbitten tattoo?
He does. Well, to my knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Troutbitten logo, and he has I don't know, I think a river scene behind it or something. It's fantastic. He sent me that when he got it that day, and I went, oh,
wow.
That's bold. That is bold.
That is bold.
Our buddy Philip. Yep, I've been fishing with Philip since he was 11 or 12 years old, and now he's 30-something with kids and a wife, and still fishes. Still part of this whole thing, really. It's not just us here and, Jarling, who's not here, and then Pat Burke and our buddy Trot, who used to be, we used to fish with, and Chase Howard. I want to acknowledge him too. I don't know that I'm necessary. I was going to say maybe I'm missing other people.
How about the guys we chased off the floor?
Oh, hey now.
Well, I'm
Let's
not
not bring that up.
mention those. Those were mistakes to invite them. Anyway, it's not just those guys. It's guys like Philip who have been part of it from the beginning. And I gain a lot of knowledge from Philip. He has a fly that he calls the brick milkshake that works better than anything up there.
Sure.
according to him. So the last 2 times I've fished that river, his home river, I fished the brick milkshake. I swear to God, I caught more fish on it. I went, how's that possible? Wait a second.
Love that.
And I love it too, Austin. I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. My pheasant tail should work just as well as his brick milkshake, but it didn't. Anyway, it's all these guys. It's everybody. It's some of my clients, like Jim Romy, like Paul Almquist. I've mentioned so many times.
Jim.
It's worth saying too. It's each one of us, right? There's an extension for us too. For me personally, right? My dad, my brothers, bringing all that in. The listeners have heard the stories about the other acquaintances, right, that have influenced our fishing, but really, it's all wrapped up into the Troutbitten project. It just it comes out into these forums and these podcasts and all that stuff.
My buddy Matt Wolf, who's his kid's on our travel baseball team, right? So he was kind of a Troutbitten guy before I even met him, and he's like, "Oh, you're Dom." I said, "Yeah, here we go." So we've talked so much, and like just even he's part of the extended family. I guess is what we're saying too. There's definitely a big extended family now, and we see all that. It just gain ideas and thoughts from and ways of fishing from other people too.
I mean, it's let Sloop be famous in Bozeman.
Slooper.
He could walk into fly shops. These guys know that's Sloop John B.
I don't spend
living off it.
I don't spend my capital there.
I kind of had a list here, guys. And before, I know, Trevor, you were moving us into the future.
That's okay.
Because you got kids. You got to get off this damn podcast thing. It's fair. We're getting long already. But here's how it went, right? Troutbitten passed. We started with the forum. 13, 14 years ago, guys. Sloop.
That was a question of mine because I know
Austin.
There's been different evolutions of the forum, and I was part of a couple of them, but not the OG forum.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask maybe when like the whole group, like when was the origin year? Because here's 10 years of the business or the website in existence, but how far back?
I think it's 2011.
Yeah, I mean, you probably can go online and see some of the original posts.
Wouldn't that be great?
But it first started as just email threads, and then nobody wanted to maintain that in their email.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to distribute to everybody and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
I have this great memory of Sloop and I getting done fishing one day in 2014, and I got back in the car and John gets out his phone, he's looking at it, and we get back in service, and he's like, "Oh, here's Pat's fishing report from today. Here he was, and that's like first time I heard about the forum. I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. You guys have this private group that you have this community and talk about what's going on, what you're learning, what you're catching, all that stuff, and it's just so neat to just even get the first glimpses of.
It was, and that was Sloop and Matt and Deli. I mean, we were exchanging ideas. And then Austin, you came along pretty shortly thereafter. Trevor, you were still saving lives in the Air Force.
Doing the real work.
Doing real work. Thank you for your service.
We were slacking off fishing.
Hey, you know who you didn't mention?
Please.
Steve.
Oh gosh. I feel
Come
bad.
on.
Dick Jones.
Dick Jones.
He doesn't want Dick. All right, Dick Jones.
Should have acknowledged him too.
Good call.
So it started as a forum, and there we were. Kind of all the guys we've talked about. And then 2014, December 8th, was the website. It was the first post. Now, if you go back and look, you'll find that the actual first post goes back to July of 2014. That's because we backdated a lot of stuff. Didn't want to launch a website, a fishing blog back then is what we called it, with just 1 or 2 posts. So I think there were 10 or 12 posts on a fishing blog called Troutbitten when I first hit publish on a post called The Last Good Island, which you guys all know where The Last Good Island is.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of
exist.
it. Deli never heard of it.
Stockies.
That was the website, right? And then the website was the base of everything. I still say it's the heart of the project. For all of those years, I said how Orvis got in touch in 2017 and wanted to run ads. And I said, whoa, maybe I got something here. And then Becky and I talked about, possible future things with Troutbitten. So I started guiding, and guiding went well. The first year I guided like 80 some days, almost 100 days, because the business was there. And what guide wouldn't love to kind of launch an independent guide service and guide like 100 days their first year, right? I mean, that's pretty unique. But again, that audience, that base of support was already there. And that's why I started guiding independently in the first place. I was like, I'll just do it myself. So glad I did. presentations definitely came either right after guiding or right before. And Sloop, you brought up, Sloop is the one who gave me my first shot at giving a presentation at his Dame Julian club. And then Becky and I decided, because there were so many requests to buy leaders, that we would do a leader shop. We were going to call it a leader shop. We decided to call it the Troutbitten shop. Josh Darling did a bunch of designs for us. We had some logos and stuff, put them on some t-shirts, some stickers, some sweatshirts, and sold them. And man, I remember being at the boys had like a choral concert. They were in elementary school, right? And Becky and I are sitting there right after we launched the shop, like that evening after we had hit publish on the shop. Like our phones were lighting up because we were getting purchases, for hats and stickers and stuff and leaders. We were going, oh my gosh, whoa. This is way bigger response than we thought we would get. So that shop really took off.
I mean, didn't you have poor boy Austin with bloody hands tying these leaders?
Austin wasn't a good leader tire, right? He didn't want to do it.
Austin, chime in, dude.
He couldn't hang.
Poor Austin was in a
couldn't time
shed.
fast
He was
enough.
in a shed tying Troutbitten leaders.
And then I let him out. I unlocked.
Dom wanted me to tie 400 a day
With a chain.
and, wake up at 3 a.m. and start before I went to work.
But he had a real job.
He didn't understand that wasn't possible for me.
He had a new wife.
He had to put his family plans on hold. Yeah.
He had other things to do.
He had other things.
That caused
Anyway.
a rift. Sorry.
I thought I heard something.
Almost got it. Yeah, that's true.
Almost lost my friendship.
Yep. I said, Austin, you're good at this. You're not good at that. Let's work on you being an event coordinator instead of a leader tire.
Yeah, and I said, Dominic, yeah, okay.
There's a guy, John Fave is the guy who ties all of the leaders that are in your hands out there if you're listening. And he does a fantastic job. Dude can tie like 50 liters in a day.
Wow.
He loves it. We love him.
I wish I was given that. 50 a day.
No. John ties 50 a day. You tied like 5 a day and wanted to be rewarded for it.
and left abnormally
Unbelievable.
long tag ends.
You don't trim them close
He's like, I don't want to trim these too close because I don't trust my
He's
knots.
left-handed. He's left-handed. He gets confused.
That's a good point. Those are left-handed leaders. Yeah. Left-handed.
That's pretty funny.
Left-handed
Austin
leaders.
tied the left-handed leaders. So we couldn't sell those
They only work for
to
me.
the general public.
Yeah.
Left-handed blood knots.
You're gonna have an LR and an
Right.
now on your leader
Yeah.
tags.
That's good. That's good. But we did sell a ton more liters and all the stuff than we ever imagined. Ever imagined was going to happen. So I had tied the first, even without Austin's help, I had tied all of, I think we had 210, if I have to put a real number on it. I had tied like 210 liters and we sold out in like a day and a half. And I went, whoa, all right. So there's some demand here. Since 2006, Yeti has been building products for anglers who fish hard and share an addiction for the woods and the water. Yeti changed the industry with their legendary coolers by featuring rugged but simple designs built to last for generations and stand up to whatever Mother Nature might bring. Yeti now takes that same functional and elegant design to everything in their lineup, from soft coolers to drinkware, bags, and more. The new Yeti Go Box gear cases have become my daily storage solution for a life on the water. Offered in 3 sizes, the Go Boxes are rugged and waterproof at home on a boat or in the back of a pickup. All Yeti Go Boxes offer smart storage solutions with removable cargo trays and dividers, and the Pack Attic is a set of zippered pockets conveniently housed in the interior lid of the 30 and 60 sizes. Lockable, light, and nearly indestructible. I use the 15 size Go Box for camera gear and the 30 size for organizing my reels, fly boxes, leaders, tippet, and everything else that keeps me fishing. The Yeti Loadout Go Boxes are the perfect angler's companion. For over a decade, Smith Creek has designed and built outstanding gear for the serious angler. Smith Creek's Rod Rack is the perfect solution to store up to 7 pre-rigged fly rods safely inside your vehicle. Each kit comes with 2 heavy-duty suction cups and 3 mounting methods. If your vehicle has bolt holes in the rear headliner, Smith Creek now offers free M6 eye bolts with your proof of purchase. The Smith Creek Rod Rack has been my choice for rod storage for the last 5 years because I prefer to keep my rods in the vehicle, rigged up and ready to go, without the need for a rod vault on the top of the vehicle. All Smith Creek gear is backed by outstanding customer service, no matter where or when you bought it. To stay up to date on their latest specials, follow them on Instagram at SmithCreekNZ. Quality you can depend on from a brand you can trust. Smith Creek. After that, you guys are the ones who wanted to do a podcast. Is that fair? You guys were kind of saying, let's do a podcast.
I think I'll give that to
I feel like
Trevor.
that was years.
Yeah, I don't know.
Trevor and Josh, maybe.
Yeah.
Because they talked about the meat eater round table, so
Right.
to speak.
Right.
Yeah, I think, in the outdoor space, we started to see some good examples of something that was beyond just cursory discussions or kind of friends sitting around talking,
Yeah.
making inside jokes, which granted, we do some
we have those
yeah,
now.
So but I don't think any of us maybe foresaw the engagement that we would see through that platform,
Right.
and how much it would kind of become one of the avenues of kind of communication and even just our I think it was at that point people started to get to know us personally because they heard us talking to each other. They got to know a little bit more about us. They heard our senses of humor or lack thereof. And yeah, it was just, I don't know. I think that was a pretty cool moment because when we run into and talk to people now, there's oftentimes a launching or jumping off point, which is the podcast.
This podcast opened a lot of doors. It opened things up right away. We kind of, all right. Yeah. On Apple Podcasts, as far as the rankings go, and it's IBA certified. Like we have the second or third or first sometimes most popular fishing podcast in the world. There I'm bragging a little bit. It's the fact. And it's been that way from almost the very beginning. Like 1 month in, all of a sudden we were at the top of the charts. First, second, third.
So let me interrupt.
That's a big deal though. Yeah.
We were like, well, let's do a podcast. And we were like, okay, well, let's try this out.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, maybe we'll do one once a month.
Yeah.
And then like it went out and it did good. And Dom was like, oh, wait,
Let's do
people
it.
like this.
Yeah.
We got to do this more often. And
I
we're like,
know.
whoa, we said once a month. Hold on.
That's like my leader story.
Yeah.
I know. Austin's like, I'll talk
We're-
10 liters for you. I was like, no, I need 100.
we're all part of the Troutbitten sweatshop. Is what we're trying to say here.
That's what it is. No, that's true.
This is our airing of grievances.
Internal grievance.
No, but really, like when it launched, it went to the top.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen.
Because that
But it's
audience was
because of
built
that
in.
organic growth and listenership and readership
Yeah.
and community that existed already.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I mean when I say that it was built on something that was solid already, is that,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden you start a podcast and you're not kind of grasping at straws. And,
Right.
like our model from the very beginning was not going to be, we're going to interview guests because we don't have anything to talk about. It was, why don't we look at this 1,000 articles that we have underneath
Yeah.
us here and just kind of walk through things and talk about topics.
Or make it up.
Yeah.
And make it
right.
up. Like Slip
Yep.
says, just make it up.
Tell Dom he's wrong.
That's the model.
That's
Argue
my
with
philosophy. Yeah.
That's right.
So the podcast soared right away and it opened many doors. And then that opened up the doors for the videos, which came next. And now I had done a few kind of half-ass videos through the years. I think the Troutbitten YouTube channel started in 2016. But you can look back. There's not, I mean,
Like
they're
a video every 6 months, maybe.
right. And they were just kind of rinky-dink, couple fly tying videos and stuff. But I mentioned Jarling earlier of Wilds Media. Austin introduced me to Josh, and right away I was like, wow, I love the way this guy sees the river. And he was young, still is, just turned 30. And just always have enjoyed working with him. I told you we filmed last Friday. It was just fun. We filmed for probably 4.5 hours. We did another what we call fishy water episode, where this time we're talking about the transition between fall and now we're going into winter. And we just went down the watershed, just like we did summer into fall, and that transition season of what we call fishy water. And people seemed to like it, and I kind of had the idea that we would do that for every transition season. Here now we've done it a second time. My point is, I love just hanging out with Josh for a day. And, we were bouncing ideas off each other. I said, why don't we move it over here? Get this shot. Oh, the sun's over there. Or let me say this. And Josh and I it's 50 plus videos now together. And that's a lot. The podcast opened the door to find the sponsors for those videos. And we just could not invest the time. I couldn't, and neither could Josh, without those sponsors, those ads, those companies that we believe in, that we use every day. These are the companies you hear on here. So we should acknowledge them too. And really for me to invest even 10 hours a week, probably every time we do this podcast to edit it and get it published. Same thing with the videos. It takes a lot of work to get them in. That's how it's become my career, is my point, is the sponsorships. And that's how we're able to do high quality work that we believe in and that we're confident to put out there publicly and say, this is the best we can do right here. This is our best work. We're proud to put it out there. I guess before we move into the future, I'll say the last thing. Austin set up the beer. This is a big deal. Like, what other fishing company has a beer, right?
Heck yeah.
So we did Troutbitten beer with New Trail Brewing Company. That was super cool. We love those guys. Been working with them for a long time. And then we've done presentations over there, or what do you call it? Like, just like we did a tying event, like a meet and greet
tying
there.
event where you did a tying demonstration and
Yeah.
Q&A and
Launch
things
party.
like that. It's just another way that the community has shown up. That was a ticketed event.
Yeah.
The original event was a ticketed event, and
Mm-hmm.
we decided, all right, let's 60 or 90 tickets just because that's the amount of seats we have, and then they sold out like immediately. And everybody there got to meet other folks who maybe they'd interacted with in the comments or on the Instagram feed or something like that, and more friendships were formed. And it's just cool to see an extension of a small group of friends be enlarged into a wider community friend group.
Good way to put it. I thought we should have had name tags because everybody would have said, "Oh, so you're Bill Dell,"
That'd be cool.
That's a good idea.
Well, at the beer event, they had a table that said reserve.
Yeah.
Trout
No,
bait.
we were important.
We felt a little silly about that.
That's true. So that's where it's been. Troutbitten past. Trevor, you tried to move us into the future a little while ago, but let's talk a little bit about where it's going.
Yeah.
We're not as sure about this, right? We know where it's been.
Mhm.
That's a fact.
Are you going to really write a book?
Yes. January, I'm excited about that. There's no doubt.
You're going to self-publish?
Self-publish it, yeah. I'm not
Nice.
going through any publishing company because I want to do it my way. And I'm not going to have any editor telling me, oh, these people won't want to read that much detail. You have to dumb it down. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, going to do it my way. You guys are all going to help edit.
Can we write the foreword?
I'm just going to...
Yeah. Yeah.
Great idea.
Cool idea.
Yeah.
It's just a roast.
It's going to be a
wait,
roast.
I like it.
So, like...
That's what we'll do.
I was going to suggest, this week we're buttering up to you and we're treating you really well.
No.
The final episode of this season, we're just going to roast you,
That's a good idea right there.
or we just roast you in the forward.
That's right. I mean it. January, I don't know, 5th or something like that. Like, let's get past Christmas and the New Year and a bunch of fishing trips that I hope to have with you guys and some other friends. There's nothing I'm looking forward to, maybe more than I've ever done, than writing up, I say that book. It's going to be on a
Big
mono rig.
statement.
Everybody wants that. So good. We'll do that. And I think it'll actually be 3 books.
Is it going to be the Yenzer mono rig?
The mono rig.
It's going to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
Huge.
I think I finally understand. I say finally, because I've been talking about writing a book for a long time. And I finally understand. I think maybe why I put it off for a while is not only these other projects coming in ahead of it, but I never quite understood. I think I have a good vision of how I want to do it. It'll be a book on the tightline advantage on the mono rig, and we'll talk about the baseline stuff. This is how I guide a lot. It's like, hey, you need to learn this before you can really fish streamers on it well, and before you can really expand it and be fishing tight line to the indicator, tight line, dry dropper. You really have to have this baseline, and that's maybe what I've been talking about with when I'm guiding. It's like there is a real baseline to get to do it, and so most of the book will be about all that, why it works. Really, why it works probably take up half the book, and then how it works for that baseline. Like learn this, and then the back end of the book, these are my thoughts anyway so far. At the back end of the book, I'll have like a streamers on the mono rig chapter, dry dropper chapter, tight line to the Indy fishing chapter. But I think in the future, I'm sure in the future, I'd like to do a streamer book, just dedicated to streamer. Because there's so many different ways that we throw streamers at them on this tight line. And a lot of that stuff's going to apply no matter what your rig is to the streamer. And then maybe some, I hate to say specialized or advanced, but something like that, with the mono rig, all these other things you can do, like we all do with those tactics. So it might be 3 books really, but the baseline is going to be the most important one. And then I'd really like to do some stories.
How about the ebook portion, Dom?
That's a good point. These days, you have to lay it out two different ways. Lay it out for print I'm holding a book, hard copy book. And then you have to lay it out for an ebook. And I think it's something like 60% of sales now in our industry are ebook sales. People want it. So you're obviously going to give it to them. And I think the cool thing about the ebook is we can drop links to like all these videos and these podcasts that we're doing here, all of these other resources through Troutbitten and perhaps other resources too. You can just drop those right in to the ebook, kind of like I do with the articles. So the ebook then can be more easily updated. Well, obviously can be updated, whereas a print copy cannot. You could do different versions, edition 2, edition 3. What I'm going to do though, because there are all these other resources, these conversations we've had on these podcasts, like so many of these conversations are going to apply to things that I'll write in these books. And I want to be able to drop links to them. Can't physically do that in a physical book. They can't click on it. But I don't know.
They can. It won't work.
No, they could try. No, but I'll have a page on the website that will list all of these links that basically apply to. If you bought the book, here are a whole bunch of links for you. You know what I mean? And then I can continue to update that. Many of these things have finally come like into view or into. I understand. I think I have a pretty good like big picture overview of how I want to do it now.
And again, I mean, that's the most organic, genuine way you've done it. We've had the conversation about books for years, but just the timing has been right, or the vision hasn't been what you want.
Right.
And as soon as that clicks for you and the way your brain works, as soon as it clicks, you've got it.
Well, yeah. Then I'm super excited to get started with it.
Right.
I don't know how long it's going to take, but whatever. However long it takes, good. And then you guys can pick it apart, rip it to shreds, and say, start over.
What are you doing?
What was that? Start over.
Good. Half as long.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Half as long. A river runs through it. That's right.
I like that.
What else in the future, guys? What do you want to see happen in the future with Troutbitten?
I want to go to Montana and fish with Matt Grobe and John Sloop.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, me too.
That offer's always there. That offer's always there.
I think I'm going to come out next year.
All right.
Whether the rest of these punks want to come.
Well, we've talked about hosting trips out there, and we've talked with Squala about being involved in all of that, and other companies too. We could host trips to Montana. Absolutely. And Grobe and Sloop, you could be part of it. And that would be, I feel just like we sold those tickets to New Trail, pretty fast, Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hosted trips to Montana would go pretty fast. I
Mhm.
think,
I think so.
and gosh, there's nothing more natural and organic than that.
Sure.
Yeah.
We should set that up, Mr. Event Coordinator.
We're working on that in the background.
Sloop, have you told, does everyone in Montana know who Troutbitten is now? Have you spread the word amongst all the fly shops?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, what the amazing thing is, I'd go into fly shops and I'd hear all these guys talking mono rig. And I'm like, holy shit, this is, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, that's again, this is the compliment Dom night.
Yeah.
When you're sitting in there, just kind of like hiding in an aisle, and you hear these guys talking about the mono rig, I mean, where it came from,
Right.
and
That's true.
they've been following the Troutbitten sets of media, so it's just pretty eye-opening how far reach you've had, Dom.
Well, like I said, it's all of this, especially the podcast, really expanded the reach. So we'll do, books, more videos are definitely coming. We've focused on series. We have the Troutbitten Flybox series. We have the Troutbitten Tips series. I now have what I do on my own without Josh, the Fish and Film series. I enjoy that. Been down that road. You understand what that is. I do a Riverside series. That's also just me kind of sitting here and reading an article and talking about it. But I enjoy that. Anyway, enjoy the series concept. I'm not sure that every other channel necessarily does that, but it works for us. Hey, if you like Fishy Waters 1, you'll probably like Fishy Waters 2. I don't know. It works out. That's how I always treated the website as well. Building on a foundation. You lay something, and then you lay a foundation, then you just kind of keep going on it.
I'm going to drag you along through the most laurel-infested stream ever imagined. And we're going to film a video. We're going to call it Ditch Fishing with Dell.
That's
That'd be
good.
so good.
So, Del, that would be part of the Fish with Friends series.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what we call that.
This is a special edition
I
where
like that.
there's no backcasting.
Nice.
And we're fishing for brook trout that
Bow
are
and
5
arrow
inches
casts.
long all day.
That'd be great.
Well, so Austin, you and Josh filmed, something about a week and a half ago, maybe.
Day after Thanksgiving.
And that might make it to a Fish with Friends video, So that's another way we might expand. Kind of.
It might make the cut.
It might make the cut, but not like
Good thing.
Ditch Fishing with Del. No,
So you're talking about all
series
these
about
videos, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna do my.
You're
plug.
never in them, you loser.
That's why I'm
Me
thinking
neither.
bigger.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No.
He's thinking
But
bigger.
if I had unlimited opportunity, and
Yeah.
down the road it's going to happen, and I've been scheming and thinking about doing a movie, right? Like a 1 hour long Troutbitten movie to a United States backcountry destination. And I feel like there's a lot of exotic fishing that happens, on the Fly Fishing Film Tour, salt, and that's great, right? But I don't think it's been a while since there's been a really good trout bum
Like just
video.
bass fishing. Yeah.
and I think there's
Trout fishing.
opportunities in this country that have these incredibly remote opportunities to target fish, and I think it would be cool to take the crew and get after it and film it, and not spot burn it, right? I'm just saying,
No.
you bring we have Wilds Media with us, and when we go out there in the wilderness and we fish and we turn it into a pretty cool movie, and I think we could do it. I think the team could do it, and I just haven't found the spot yet. I have a couple in mind, but I think it'd be pretty cool to do something out of the ordinary like that.
I love that. That's neat. Can we do it for like a month? Can it just be like a whole month of like fishing
Could
film
do
stuff?
2 weeks in the backcountry.
2 weeks.
might
Sloop,
need
but
that
just
to
know
get
You do
you
need
out.
some days.
Sloop
You
has
do.
the peanut butter in his backpack. That's the
Hey,
rule.
now. He leads.
That's
too.
right.
He either leads or trails. Here's
Here's
in
my,
front of the
He
back.
wears the bells. He wears
here's
the
my
bells.
suggestion to that. Keep it. The problem with those those film tours, everything is too extreme.
Yeah.
That's why I said we can keep it here.
the size of
Yeah.
Just keep it like realistic.
Real
Yeah.
fishing, man.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
We're gonna
Good advice.
we're gonna backcountry hike and we're gonna catch 6-inch brook trout.
There, if that's what's
And
there,
that's
Not if
okay.
you're in
and that's the king
Montana.
of the stream. Good. Yeah.
Screw Montana. We got PA.
Cuddy's.
Anyway, I think that'd be pretty cool to get the crew together in an isolated setting like that with
Yeah, I like
with
that.
the camera.
I like that a lot.
We just need some time from Mr. Wild's Media.
Well, we do need time, and so many of us are here with wives and kids, and time. And I will say, I'm getting some time back, as Austin's kind of just getting started. And Groby, your kids are young, and Josh's kids are pretty young. So are Trevor's. I don't know. I'm definitely getting some time back. I said it earlier. I'm serious. I'm gonna outfit or buy some van camper. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get a camper, small, portable. And I'm going to travel around. I'm not kidding. I'm doing it.
like a transit van that you're going to convert.
Yeah, whatever.
You can buy a
Whatever,
camper.
right? I'm going to go around in a van and be down by the river. A van down by the river.
The Matt Foley dream.
I'm going to do it. I got invitations all over the country. I could do more presentations. Just with that travel, I could actually make money traveling and kind of expand the Troutbitten, I don't know, brand, not the brand, but the range in a way. Like, well, almost all of our videos, if not all of our videos, really, yeah, all of them are in Pennsylvania waters. Well, let's do some other ones. Like you said, Matt, let's go out to something out your way or the next state over or whatever and do some destination, some travel videos. And that takes time. It takes some resources, but I think we're to that point where we can make all that stuff happen.
I will provide Wi-Fi for bedding.
For
Hey.
what?
For
Bedding?
bedding. Yeah. I just need a place to sleep and fish.
Like
and,
hay or straw? Like I can
yeah,
just.
I don't care. If you're gonna travel around the world,
Willie's bartering his commodities.
yeah, you know.
You got
So
you're lucky to have
Wi-Fi.
two guys that live in a pretty trouty place.
We'll film for food.
You come out my way, I'll run a extension cord out to your van.
out to the van. I mean it. That's all I need. I'm not kidding. I'm gonna go across the country and at least do it for a few years. And
I have other van lifers come out and visit
do
me.
you?
Oh yeah.
Run the extension cord out there. You've done this?
They actually everybody declines.
You
Oh,
gotta-
I'm not declining.
You
They
gotta-
might not
you-
know you as well. I know you well.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
You have a 10-3 line that runs out.
What's that? Is that a type of
10-3
electricity?
T. Yeah, 10-3 T-Flex.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, but then I didn't. I didn't want to bury everybody.
Yeah, we're not going there.
Austin, what's
How
that?
about Troutbitten gear?
What do you mean?
You know, like
On the horizon, you mean?
We've kicked around the idea of, well, what about a Troutbitten fly rod or
I
something?
wouldn't mind doing
you know,
a pack.
specialized stuff, or
Yeah.
you know, Josh has got ideas for his innovative,
Yeah.
some insulative layers he's got kicking around in his head. But certain things that we look for that don't necessarily exist.
know.
And we kind of talk about things evolving over time, and we're getting to that point too. If we decided, hey, maybe we should just create the things that we wish existed, we probably could do that.
Seems like a job for an event coordinator that would expand into like a gear
Gear coordinator.
manufacturing coordinator. He'd have to quit his full-time job.
Mm,
Yeah.
you'd have, yeah.
That he just got and he lost.
Don't go there.
Nah, that's true though.
Convince me. Yeah.
Becky and I talked about on the intermission podcast. I've had two companies reach out and want to, talk about doing a Troutbitten rod. And I go, wow. Okay. Yeah. To have it set up our way, the way we'd love to have it set up, not a specialized Euro nymphing rod.
No
Because we do
gimmicks.
no gimmicks either. We do so many other things. We know what we want. I would love to have a 3, 4, and a 5 weight, 3 different rods under the Troutbitten brand, label, whatever. Label them as a Troutbitten rod because that's what they would be. And that would be really neat. We might do
Call
that
it
in
the 10-foot-4 high holer.
future. Have a name on it like the high holer. Yeah, that's good. We have like a common name like the high holer. Didn't Gallup call it the bank robber? That's a pretty clever name, right?
Yeah,
One of his
that is a
rods,
good name.
right? So we call it the high holer. That's good.
That's perfect.
Give me a
for PA.
2x2 with some eyes on it.
He wants the 7-weight Troutbitten rod. I'm a little worried that the vest options are declining. There's
They
a
are
couple companies I'm
declining.
talking to that we work with. You hear the ads on here that we've talked about a vest. They're like, I don't know if the demand will be there. I'm like, I think there would be. Or like, I hope there would be. Can we just make a vest that?
Less and less good options for vests out there.
Yeah, but we know it. If you put the Troutbitten name behind it, they'd sell. You know what I mean?
It would also be good.
Yeah, and that's why they'd sell. A couple of us.
Do you
give
think-
us- Del-
So do you think guest interviews are a good idea for this podcast? I guess is my question.
I don't know if all of us at once interviewing one guest is a good idea.
The
What do you think?
round table of interrogation, so to speak.
Right, because we'd be pretty hard on whatever guest we brought in.
Yeah.
It might be a little overwhelming.
That's a good way to get the guests.
They wouldn't survive the forum.
Come to us. We'll roast you.
Yeah, that's kind of yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's. I don't think it'd be interesting, but I think Sloop and I we were texting prior. Yeah, I think it's a lot of the podcasts are out there. It's
Yeah.
kind of the same old recycled.
It's all
This
guest
person's
interviews.
talking to this person, and
Yeah,
it's kind of. I don't want to say corny, but it's not original, and I think that's what makes this one unique because
I
you do
agree.
have this round table. So I'm with Dell in the sense of no, it's not a bad thing, of course not, to have bright-minded individuals in the industry
Yeah.
come on occasionally, but in general, that's what's cool about this podcast.
Yeah,
I think
it's very different. It's unique. What we're doing is different than the standard model. Almost
Sure.
everybody else is having guests, and then like you say, that same guest is going to be on 5 different podcasts within the next year.
I scrolled one day. I searched right, and I
Yeah.
don't listen. I will say I don't listen to other fly fishing podcasts,
Yeah.
mainly because I tried and I just it would be this person was on this one and this one and this one, and it was all the same recycled content a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I already heard that.
I already heard that.
Just in a different platform. That's all.
We've said too. It's everybody asks you tell us about your fly fishing journey.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about.
Yeah.
So I do want to have some guests, but they might very well not be the people that you're out there thinking about.
Like Troy,
Right.
can we have like
Yeah.
Troy Polamalu?
Oh,
Like
there you
Big
go.
Ben Roethlisberger?
You know, he's a fly fisher.
Yeah, we need to have good
Call him on a
stuff.
fly fishers.
I'll interview Troy Polamalu. I show up for that one.
What about a video component to the existing format?
I know.
You think that's another trend out there is people really want to watch the speakers talking.
I know, and it's more than a trend too. I mean, I think it's the way
Yeah.
things are going.
Sort of
I like to see actually that in the last year and a half, things are really kind of settling in though. You're either kind of a video podcast or you're an audio podcast. There are still plenty of people, perhaps the majority of people, who still don't give a crap about the video aspect because they're listening to podcasts in a way that they're not going to be watching the video anyway. The most important thing of any podcast, I will always believe, is the audio. And the video doesn't hurt, and it could be there. Like we're all looking at each other right now. We could upload this right as it is to YouTube. However, a lot of what makes the Troutbitten podcast, I think, easy to listen to and honestly popular is because I do a lot of editing and I cut out the crap where, Trevor's squirming around in his seat all the time. And it's like, no, it's like chair noise and then somebody coughs and then, and I don't know, all this stuff. I like to make it's a creative process. It's very listenable. And we take these conversations, like what are we on, an hour and 41 minutes now? But there was some preamble before we hit record and this and that.
I mean, here's a comment with respect to your podcast and do you need guests or not?
Yeah.
I'm thinking that your listeners know you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not full of BS and you back up what you've done and you back up what you've done with hours on the stream before you even bring it to the podcast. So I don't know, maybe you focus on different techniques that you haven't talked about yet, because
Sure.
I think you guys are more believable than the guests you would bring in.
Wow. Well, that is a compliment, Sloop.
Well, because I know you guys and I know how hard you all fish.
Yeah.
He's just leveraging for a Matt's Creek.
No,
He's
Still
that's
trying to
all
find out where Matt's Creek is.
He's like, hey, Matt,
That's shameful,
I need some
bud.
honey hole.
my legs won't carry me up a Match Creek anymore.
Just joking.
Oh, yeah, they will.
I've been on a couple of those pursuits with you, and you're more likely to die in quicksand than you are.
I heard you're a big fan of the rainbows.
Yeah.
I heard. Just catching the
Rainbows
rainbows.
on the red. Rainbows on the red.
Rainbows on reds.
No.
Look at him blushing. Yeah.
You guys need to come out and give that a
Give that a
try.
We're doing it.
Oh, I've been there. I've done that. I like it.
Catching those
Rainbows
rainbows.
on the red.
What you say there, Sloop, is important. When we have guests, we want to have them. I like to think we'll do it in a different way. And we're going to have guests. I've already talked to a couple people. I know we're going to have them in 2025 for sure. And we'll do it in a different way. I'm sure of it. Everything with Troutbitten, maybe to kind of summarize, everything that has been and everything that will be is going to be a little different than an industry standard. Not for any other reason, but that's just like the way it has to be, right? Austin, when we host trips, it's going to be it's going to be different.
Right.
Like we learned that in the process of going to Patagonia
Big
and
time.
coming back. We realized, well, like everything else, we got to do this our way, in a different way. We never fit into that industry standard kind of model. I'm going to self-publish, like you asked, Del. Not with a publisher. I'm going to self-publish because I got to do it my way. That's how the website was. That's how these podcasts are. We said, like, everybody else interviews guests. That's fantastic. Like, I love listening to many other podcasts, Matt. Like, I really do. I kind of keep up with all the other fly fishing podcasts, and I enjoy them. But this podcast has been different from the beginning. I know that our videos are very different from the beginning. One of the criticisms I'll get, like, one in, 100 comments will be negative, and they'll say, just get to the point. All this intro, it took you 3 minutes of intro stuff, this pretty snowflakes falling and water running, just get to the point. Like, nope, this isn't for you then. Like, we've done it in a different way. We care about different things. We're going to do it in a different way. So when we have guests on, I like to think, I'm sure of it really, we're going to do that in a different way. We'll ask different questions. I'm not going to care much about their history.
I do really like the idea of having just like close friends
dudes.
that aren't necessarily like industry based,
Right.
that fish incredibly hard that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
That would be willing to come and talk.
Different ideas and kind of join in with us, like right now, you know?
Because you're guaranteed for meaningful, good
Yeah,
conversation.
I know.
Because you know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
YouTube Live. You gonna do any more of that?
Right. You want to head it up? No, I don't mean to be
Me?
smart.
No.
No.
Resident tech guy.
We talked about that last week, didn't we? Like the YouTube Live, we did it. Maybe Becky.
We
and I
did. We did 2.
Right. We did 2 YouTube Lives. We did one where we focused on the super pause with Deli's super pause. It's one of the first videos I ever put together front to back. Not my best effort, but it was my first effort. And I went out and filmed Deli showing the super pause, especially with the Grinch fly and the Ric Flairiant, different variations. It was cool. So that really went well. Again, like the audience is built in.
Cool.
It almost always goes well. And then we had Tom Rosenbauer on last February, I think, right? And that was super cool. Those live videos, I said this when Becky and I were talking in the intermission podcast. I feel like it puts a unusual pressure on everyone. The guest, because they don't want to say anything that they shouldn't say because they're live. There's no way to back up, and say, "Ooh, shouldn't have said that." And then I felt an unusual pressure. I didn't necessarily mind it, but I knew it was different. I felt pretty natural on those live videos, but it was different. I like this. If somebody accidentally spot burns, like, oh, well, I'll go back and bleep it out. And other things, I feel like this format with the ability to go back and pull some things together, tie together some ideas that, took 10 minutes and they can just take 3 minutes. Anyway, you like the live podcast, Deli?
I think they're cool. I think there's something different.
Yeah.
I don't mind the live stuff. I don't know.
No.
I guess I mumble and talk and whatever, and I guess it is what it is, and people see it as real.
No, I hear you, and I want to keep it part of the collection of things that we do. Can't do everything all at once, but yeah, I'm sure we'll have at least a couple more of those in 2025. Year's coming to an end, right, guys? Anything else, guys? What did we miss? Anything?
I would say there's probably a bunch of other people that were involved that
right.
Weren't mentioned. The Full brothers jumped to mind.
Oh, good point. Steve
Rocket,
Full, Ryan
right?
Full.
Like those guys were.
We called him Rocket
instrumental
Ship
too, right?
Yep. What was his?
And there's others we'll forget.
What's his real name?
Chris Cares.
Yeah, Chris Cares. And Austin, you're saying like there's a lot of other people, but I don't know that there are. You brought up ones that are very important dudes there.
Yeah,
but
well, in case we did forget,
you're right. I mean, right. There've been so many people down the line that are part of this whole thing.
Yeah, if we were looking back at 10 years, the 10 years of Troutbitten, I'd just like to take an opportunity to think back of what it meant for me.
Okay.
And for me, I just felt like a resident, everyday fishing hack who just went out and tried to catch some fish.
Nice.
And until I met Pat, and it's like, holy shit, this guy catches some big fish. And, I don't think I've ever been the tinkerer that you guys are. I mean, I'm looking at 3 of the biggest tinkerers around, and as one who doesn't do that as much as these other guys, I've been able to benefit a lot from looking at the new features that you guys pull out all the time. And really, it's come to me all through just a happenstance. By meeting the right guys on the stream, and
I know
a little bit of beer and a little bit of gas, and I get a lot of good advice.
That's great. That's a great line.
That's
right
the best
there.
quote.
All right.
Yeah.
End it there.
Yeah. So like I said, so I'm looking to see what happens in 2025.
A little bit of beer.
I mean, because there's a lot of stuff
A
happening.
little bit of gas. A little bit of good advice.
We need a picture of Sloop's face on a shirt with that underneath.
A little bit of beer, a little bit of gas.
A little bit of good advice. I love it.
I like it.
But it's
That
true.
might be it. 10 years of Troutbitten, guys. Thank you, everybody in front of me here,
Yeah, man.
everybody we talked about, all the sponsors, just as big of a part of it, and everybody out there listening. Hope you enjoy it. We know you do, and I hope you keep listening and being part of it. And when we do those events, we meet so many of you, and we realize how deep it all connects. 10 years of trout pitting.
Cheers.
Hey, no. Cheers to that.
Cheers is right. Who's reading us out?
Sloop.
Sloop.
Slooper.
I
You got the
it.
readout there in front of you?
I got it. Here we go.
All right, Sloop John B, will you read us out?
Remember, the Troutbitten Project is a free resource for all anglers. The Troutbitten website hosts over 1,500 articles, videos, and podcasts with endless stories, commentaries, tactics, tips, and more.
Yes, sir.
Find what you like through the top menu and through the search page. Navigate by the way of the categories and tags too. Be sure to find the Troutbitten YouTube channel now, featuring the Troutbitten Tip Series, the
Give me some
Troutbitten
gas.
Fly Box, and Fly Fishing the Mono Rig, all in collaboration with Wilds Media.
6-pack.
You'll also find the fish and film videos and the new Riverside video series,
That's Creek, my dream.
all in their own playlists of Troutbitten YouTube. Thank you for listening to the Troutbitten Podcast. Please give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify,
Gas.
And
I'm gonna
leave a
high hold your
comment.
ass.
because that really helps. Until next time, friends, fish hard, enjoy the day, and find your life on the water.
For the next 10 years.
Hey now.
Hey now.
All right.
Trevor gave up. Mr. Late. He gave.
He's
Look
fine.
at him.
He ain't coming.
He abandoned ship.
He's late.
Who just joined in?
Sorry, I had dropped
Dude,
out.
I got double sloopers.
He dropped. What the happened there?
He
I
cloned
just
him
saw
too.
fucking sloops.
I've never.
I didn't.
I was like, there's
Hey.
a clone of him. What?
Sloop John B's Bizarro just jumped on.
It really devolved quickly.
Has it been 10 years, man?